What was this?
You step quietly into the frost-bitten forests of the northern Algonquian territories, where the wind whistles through skeletal trees and snow crunches beneath your boots. These woods have always been more than a simple backdrop for survival. They are the cradle of stories meant to warn, to scare, and to teach. Among them, one tale looms larger than any other: the Wendigo. This creature is not merely a monster. It is a reflection of human excess, starvation, and the terrible consequences of crossing sacred boundaries. Chapter 1: Origin Story. In the old Algonquian oral traditions, the Wendigo emerges as a gaunt, towering figure, its skin stretched tight over protruding bones, its eyes sunken, sometimes glowing like embers in a cold hearth. It is said that it hungers endlessly, an insatiable craving for human flesh that grows with every act of greed or cannibalism. Imagine a shadow of yourself, exaggerated and twisted by every selfish desire you've ever had. That is the Wendigo. It is the cautionary tale of what happens when hunger, both literal and figurative, overpowers morality. The origins are layered, complex, and steeped in survival. In harsh winters, when the forests of the north became inhospitable and food scarce, human desperation sometimes drove men to unspeakable acts. Legends warn that a person who resorts to cannibalism, even out of necessity, risks being consumed by the spirit of the Wendigo. But this is not merely physical consumption. It is a transformation of the soul. Once touched by the Wendigo, the human mind begins to twist, driven by a constant, gnawing hunger, a madness that mirrors the creature's eternal craving. Yet the Wendigo is more than a warning about starvation. It embodies greed, gluttony, and excess. The spirit is said to whisper in the ears of those who hoard, who take more than their share, who place their desires above the welfare of others. Its claws stretch not only toward human flesh, but toward every act of selfishness, marking the line between survival and moral decay. It is a mirror, an echo of human impulses amplified into monstrous form. Physical descriptions vary. Some accounts depict it with the skeletal frame of a human, elongated limbs, jagged teeth, and claws sharp enough to tear through the hardest hide. Others suggest a more horrific image, a skull-like head adorned with antlers, a grotesque reminder of the forest's raw and unyielding power. Its eyes, whether red or yellow, seem to pierce the soul of anyone who dares glance into them, reflecting not the world around it, but the emptiness within. And yet, despite these terrifying traits, the Wendigo is cunning. Its speed defies expectation. Its mimicry of human voices lures the unwary into traps, and its intelligence ensures that it is never a simple prey or predator. Modern interpretations sometimes lose the nuance of this origin story, depicting the Wendigo as merely a monstrous figure in horror media. But at its heart, it remains a deeply cultural warning, a tale meant to guide behavior, maintain community cohesion, and respect the boundaries of nature and human morality. It is the embodiment of the dangers inherent in the cold northern forests, a living allegory of isolation, hunger, and the dark potential that lurks within every human being. Even today, the stories retain their eerie power. You can feel it if you walk through the snowy wilderness alone, the trees whispering secrets, the cold gnawing at your fingers. The Wendigo may not be visible, yet its presence lingers in the frost, in the shadows, and in the stories that have been passed down for centuries. It is as if the forests themselves hold a memory of greed and desperation, a warning etched into every creaking branch and frozen footprint. Chapter 2: Famous Wendigo Encounters. The stories move from legend into chilling reality when we examine documented cases of Wendigo possession and cannibalism, instances where folklore and human history collide. You can almost feel the snow crunch beneath your boots as we step into the harsh winters of 19th century Canada, where desperation could transform ordinary men into figures of nightmare. One of the most infamous cases is that of Swift Runner, a Cree man known to his community as Kakisi Kuchin. During the winter of 1878 to 1879, Swift Runner and his family ventured into the remote wilderness of present-day Alberta for trapping season. Supplies were scarce, and the bitter cold gnawed at their survival. When he returned months later alone, he claimed his family had succumbed to starvation. But the truth was far darker. Investigators discovered the remains of his entire family, mutilated, cannibalized, and grotesquely arranged, a grim testament to the spirit he claimed had possessed him. Swift Runner confessed, attributing his actions to the Wendigo, and was subsequently tried and executed. This tragic account became a cornerstone of what later psychologists and anthropologists labeled Wendigo psychosis, a culture-bound syndrome where the belief in becoming a Wendigo could trigger actual cannibalistic behavior. Another chilling narrative comes from Jack Fiddler, a shaman and chief of the Sucker-Dudum among the Anishinaabe in what is now northwestern Ontario. Born around 1839, Fiddler became renowned for his ability to protect his people from the Wendigo, a spirit that preyed upon communities during famine. He claimed to have defeated 14 Wendigos, some of whom were possessed humans, often family members, whose desperation had turned them into cannibalistic monsters. In certain cases, Fiddler performed what could be seen as ritual euthanasia, ending the lives of those who were overtaken by the Wendigo before they could harm others. This was not cruelty, but a culturally sanctioned intervention meant to preserve the community, a stark reminder of how closely folklore and survival were intertwined. Fiddler's own life intersected tragically with colonial law. In 1907, Canadian authorities arrested him and his brother Joseph for the death of Wasikapikwe, Joseph's daughter-in-law, under circumstances tied to Wendigo lore. While awaiting trial, Jack Fiddler took his own life, a symbolic end to the traditional autonomy of his people, as government law began to replace ancient customs. The legacy of these encounters survives, not only in legal history but in the ongoing oral traditions of the Cree and Anishinaabe peoples. Chapter 3: Signs that a Wendigo is near. Encounters with the Wendigo are not always immediate or visual. Often, the first warning comes from the environment itself, subtle cues that something unnatural is present. The forest whispers differently here. A foul stench of decay, almost imperceptible at first, can indicate the presence of the creature. Human-like cries or distorted calls echo through the trees, sometimes appearing distant yet impossibly close, as if the wind itself carries deception. You may feel it in the prickling of your skin, an unshakable sense of being watched, even in the emptiest of clearings. The weather can turn inexplicably harsh, sudden blizzards, ice storms, or a sharp drop in temperature signaling a Wendigo's passage. Animals behave strangely, fleeing in silent panic or freezing in unnatural positions, as if sensing the predator that moves among them. And within yourself, you might notice a creeping hunger, an irrational craving for meat, or paranoia that gnaws at your mind. The subtle onset of Wendigo psychosis. Physically, if glimpsed, the Wendigo is terrifying. Skeletal, emaciated, with ash-gray skin, tattered lips, elongated claws, and eyes that seem to burn with a hunger no human could satisfy. It moves with an uncanny speed, silently traversing snow or wind, and may mimic human voices to lure prey. And yet, despite its monstrous form, it is not mindless. The Wendigo is intelligent, patient, and cunning, a predator of both body and mind, capable of driving entire communities into fear and madness. These signs are warnings etched into the culture and survival strategies of northern peoples. They remind you to remain vigilant, to respect the balance between human necessity and moral restraint, and to remember the chilling consequences of giving in to greed or hunger. The Wendigo is more than myth. It is an ever-present shadow in the frost, a test of human resilience, morality, and the capacity to survive without surrendering to darkness.